Episode 129 of Terrance Henry Experience. I got some special guests in the building. I got my man Morton, and I got my guy Lyon Beckwith. I said that right?
You did.
Right.
I'm proud of you, buddy.
Funny story about that. I had to call Lo and ask him to make sure that I was saying it right.
But you know, I mean, so here's the thing. To be fully honest, it's supposed to be Lyon. But no one says Lyon.
Nobody says that?
No one says Lyon. No.
I could have been the first one that said that. See, I should have,
I mean, but you know, but Lyon is so much easier and it stands out more. Okay. You know what I mean? And I would get tired of correcting people. So here's a fun fact while we're in there. My first name is Mustafa. And so many people will say Mufasa, no matter how clear I say Mustafa. Oh, Mufasa. Ooh, Lion King. And
I was about to ask you that.
It's chalk. It's nails on chalkboard.
So they're not gonna with the you never thought about doing that movie, nothing like that, or the
Next question.
I'm just asking.
We're switching names. Like Mustafa.
Yeah. So you know what's funny? Do you know how many movies you've been in?
That's sad. Actually, I don't.
50.
It actually may have been more than 50. Yeah, actually.
The ones I looked up was about 50 of them.
Yeah.
So you started in 2000, close to 14, right?
That's good. That's actually a good Chad question because
that might have been when you got your first credit, because the Guild was never feature films. So I think that was a little bit earlier, maybe 2020.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
That's a long time in the game, man.
Yeah, you gotta put that dedication, man.
Yeah, so being that you've been in the game for so long, in the dedication, and you've been doing it for as long as you have been, where is it that exactly do you want to take it to? Because you have done so many films, and you've seen a lot, audition. Where is it that you really want to take it to since you've been in all these films? Like, where is it?
You know, you still have those dream roles.
Yeah.
You know, I still want those dream roles. I still want that dream paycheck.
Right.
You know, you know, it's my passion, man.
Right.
It's my passion, you know, so it's one of those things you become addicted to it, you know, and I love the fact that I don't know what's next, you know, and that's the thrill of it, you know what I mean? I can't tell you how many times that I've gotten a role and ended up on a set with like stars and stuff that I didn't even know was going to be a part of it, man. And those are the highs, you know, those are highs. Many, many, many lows, but those are highs. But the thrill of being in it, the thrill of doing what I love, the thrill of I'm a people person, so meeting people, like even meeting you now, you know, like I love meeting people. I love getting to know people, friends, family, you know, like I'm a people person, you know. So it's just all of it together makes it, you know, hopefully that's answering your question.
No, it's answering it because your story is amazing. The reason why I'm asking you these questions is because you're from the city of Baltimore. You know, you did mixed martial arts. You did all these things, right? And not only was you doing these things, and midst of all of your transitions through everything, at some point you was homeless.
Oh yeah, that was right? that was in the very beginning.
Yeah.
So you know,
between the 50 movies and all of that, and the transition into that, you were homeless. You know how many people stop at some point of a breaking point of it, and you are now like still, you know?
So let me clarify.
Okay.
I was homeless in high school.
Oh, okay.
So even before I even got into acting, you know, I was my mom was a drug addict, you know, prostitute, never knew my father. And I just found myself with when my mom just gave up being a mom. Right. She was like, she had the choice of being a mom or being a drug addict, and she chose being a drug addict. And she left me in a motel, and left. And and she left me enough money for pizza for a couple nights, told me to space it out, literally. And she left. Mm-hmm. And I literally did not see her for 4 years. After that, my God family came to the motel. And here's the funny thing. As a kid, you don't know how bad things are.
No.
I thought I was living the life. I'm like, oh, she trusts me in a motel with some money. My best friend, which was a little white guy, because we lived in Brooklyn.
Okay.
Brooklyn, Maryland.
Okay.
And he lived, a couple blocks down. This is why she picked that motel, actually. And he came over, and I was like, man, I got pizza. We was trying to look at the little fuzzy thing to make out, the dirty channels and stuff. We trying to make out the women. And
that's funny. I thought I was the only one that did that.
Right. We were sitting there without pizza. It was like, I see a nipple.
Was that the one with the wooden box with the red letters? I mean, the red numbers on
right,
there?
Right, exactly.
Small
right.
remote.
So
I know that was a Spice Channel
there,
back in the day.
We had pizza, man. We was in a motel.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until my God family came to pick me up from the motel, and the look on their face is really when it hit me like, oh, this is bad. Because they came, and obviously I probably was dirty.
How old?
Oh my gosh, I just turned 13.
Wow.
I had just turned 13 because we left. So my family, we moved to Texas. My family brought my mother to Texas and us to try to get her to break the habit. And they figured if she got out of Baltimore, maybe that would help her get away from the drugs. Mm-hmm. And she ended up stealing my older brother's car.
Wow.
And grabbing me, driving back. And here's a just to throw in there, a funny thing about that is she got tired while she was driving. So she said to me, "You're going to drive." I was 13. I was 12, actually. I was 12 at the time. And she said, "You're going to drive." And she said, "I want you to just keep this arrow in between this number and stay on the straight line." And my mother, keep in mind, my mom was literally gone.
Right.
And I at 12 years old, I'm driving a car to Baltimore from Texas.
Wow.
Yeah. So we got there. And again, like I said, I believe at that point, she knew she was at her lowest low and decided to stay there. Because when she stole my brother's car, we came to Baltimore, and she came back to the drugs. Mm-hmm. I think at that point she was like, I'm not going to beat this. Mm-hmm. And she called my God family. She put me in the motel. She left me money for pizza. I was in the motel for a little over a week.
Okay.
And they came, and again, when they came to that door, they knocked on that door, opened the door. I'm happy to see him because This is my God family. And I remember my godmother and my god grandmother's face as soon as I opened that door, and they literally gasped. And they were just like, "Baby, get your stuff, come on." And I was like, "Oh, this is not good."
At what part did you know, from all the midst of these challenges that you went through in your life and all these things, what part did you feel like I wanted to be an actor? When did it seek in?
What? I'm gonna be honest with you. Acting found me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At what part?
First in high school, we did a little class exercise, and the teacher had us do a little part from different books or stuff. And I did my part, and I really got into it, and I flipped over the desk. Not your desk that one time, but I flipped over the desk, and the class and the teacher was like, "Oh my," right? Mm-hmm. And she went and talked to the other teachers and it was a big deal. Like wow, But at that point, I didn't follow it. Then later on in life, I had which is actually my son's mother now, my high school sweetheart. We were together, and back in the 90s, dark skin was not popular.
No, it wasn't.
My girlfriend was, put it this way, my girlfriend at the time, she was so dark, she make you look light skin.
Really?
She dark skin, and I loved her, and but her self-esteem wasn't high. And again, like, it wasn't popular back then, like they used to dog dark skinned people. So because I thought she was gorgeous. I still, to this day, I think she's gorgeous. I got her one of those glamour pack shoots, and I set her up with the shoot, and they put the boa on and put makeup on her, did her hair, and she was taking a picture, and she's feeling good. And they asked me to get in one of the pictures, like I was praising her. So I got in the picture, praising her in this picture. Right. Well, we ended up breaking up, and after that, but the owner of that photography shop saw me in the picture, called her and said, "Who's this guy in the picture? We think he has a good look. I want to put him in a commercial." His name was William Allen.
Wow.
And luckily she wasn't petty. She gave him my number. He called me. He says, "Hey man, I think you got a good look. I want to put you in this commercial or whatever." It was for Kimmy Oil. You remember Kimmy Oil?
I do.
No, I'm sorry. It was Kay's Crab Shack in Baltimore. The first one was Kay's Crab Shack.
Don't remember that.
Yeah, well, this is a Baltimore thing. So he put me in that commercial, and he was like, "Man, like when I did it," he said, "You're a natural actor." Mm-hmm. He said, "You're really good," and he signed me up for like a agency, in New York, and so on and so forth. And that's when it started originally.
Okay.
Yeah, and unfortunately, when I was younger, I unfortunately did not have the best temperament. Mm-hmm. So I was a light-skinned, green-eyed, curly-haired guy in the hood. Mm-hmm. So unfortunately, like I used to fight a lot.
With challenges.
Yeah, and when I did my first national commercial with that agency, I actually unfortunately almost got into a fight on set. Bad temper at the time. And I quit acting.
Well, how'd you get into a fight on set? How'd you do that?
I did not know the business.
Okay.
I just started, and I did an audition. Uh-huh. My first audition for anything. It was a commercial or whatever, and I got it. And the local people in New York was like, "Man, nobody gets their first gig." You know what I mean? Commercial. And I got it, and I played the inmate for remember the caller IDs on the phones? Yeah. It was for that. And I'm in this commercial. I'm in the cell. And certain things didn't make sense. And I was like, man, it would make some more sense if they did this and did this. And the guy said, "You know what? You're right. You should go tell the director that." And I said, "Yeah." He says, they were like, "Yeah."
So they were setting you up.
They set me up. Mm. And I went and marched my happy yellow ass over there. And hey, and I started telling the director, and he looked at me like, "Who the hell is this?" And then I had people running over. Oh, what are you doing? What are you doing? Right. And again, I didn't know.
You didn't know.
I didn't know, so when I realized this is wrong, this is something that you don't do. Oh, I was upset. So when I went back to that cell, I started cussing them out. I was like, "I whip you, blah, 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 blah." And I was pissed. And I started getting so, like, I really wanted to fight the guy, put it like that. And it ended up being, they ended up having to pull me to the side, and it was a big thing. And then I quit acting. I had quit acting for some years. And at my first time ever coming back to try again was this time. Now I appreciated it. This time I wanted to do it. This time it was a thing. This is where I met Chad Morton here.
Mr. Chad Morton
here on a movie called The Guild.
Okay. It wasn't even called The Guild then at the time. It was just
but you wrote it, right?
I ended up writing it.
So Chad, let me ask you. So, you started your company in 2018, right? Smash Entertainment.
No, it was before that.
It was before
doing short films.
Okay.
Things like that.
All right. So when did you start Smash Entertainment? Was it before that or?
Oh, yeah. I would say 2014, probably. Okay. 2014, 2015.
All right. When you started it?
Yeah.
With 6 films under your belt. Correct.
Yeah. Well, we've got a lot of shorts. Mm-hmm. We started with a short film. Mm-hmm. Lyon was in that short film. Just happened to be in that one as well. And then we just grew. We kept grinding and kept growing and kept pushing, and we're here now.
So what made you want to start writing movies? I know you're a realtor as well.
Yes.
But what made you at some point want to get you into like the movie business with the short film and stuff like that? What transpired for that?
Well, being the oldest of this circle currently, I always wanted to be in the film business, but when you grow up in the 80s, pre-internet, you try to explain that to people, pre-internet, pre-cell phone, the movies were like magic, like you had to be a wizard to be in the business unless you were exceptionally talented, like an Eddie Murphy or something like that. You're not just going to go to Hollywood and just make films. So when I had graduated from Pitt and was teaching school my first year, I also applied to UCLA Film School and got accepted to film school in 1990 or 91, either 90 or 91, and was going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, just thought better of it, feet got cold and let that dream go, because everybody that I spoke to at the time, when I said, what do you think? Was like, man, you got a job, man. This is like 1990. You better keep your job and get film school. And I did that. But I never let it go. So, you get older and you realize that your time is finite. Everything that you want to do, you better get it in. And I decided to go back and chase that dream.
As we, talking, from what you said, you got in with the director, that was a learning lesson, right?
Yeah.
Something you learned along the way.
Yeah.
And then somebody telling you, hey, you got a job, don't do that. But it's ironically funny. And even though that, jobs are doable to me. Anybody can do a job, or you have to be taught. But creation is something so important. And not everybody has that. You know what I mean? Because it's like you're doing something because you're taught it. Like, you go in, you clock out, whatever the case may be. Over time, it. And you ask yourself, okay, if I'm doing this 8 hours, 10 hours a day, and it's not something that I love, your mind starts to be like, wait a minute. You start looking around, you start saying to yourself, like, wait a minute, I can actually do something that I love. You know what I mean? So
well,
it's
a special person can think that.
I was going to say the same
not
thing.
everybody, because
Yeah,
some
most
people
don't.
love being soldiers.
That's
you know what I
fine.
mean?
And there's no
and there's nothing
like
wrong
not
with that.
denigrating that at all. But
just
some
great
people look
doers.
at it
Right.
as, hey, man, I've got
Absolutely,
20 years until
absolutely.
retirement,
Right.
30 years, then I can retire.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with that. But if you've got that other itch,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you need someone to tell you or agree with you, hey, man, go ahead, give it a shot.
Or
Give it
that
a try.
feeling, like you're
Yeah.
saying, won't leave you.
It won't. It
Right.
just doesn't. It stick with you, and like it gets addictive, and it bothers you.
It bothers you.
and you have to do it. It's
Yeah.
like if I told myself if I stopped the day tomorrow, I would not be happy.
Mm.
You just won't be. It's just like, nah, I gotta keep going. Something just keeps telling me to keep going. Some people lose the drive, then you have special people like us who just say, you know what, I don't care what happened, what the outcome is. I'm going to keep doing this until whatever happens. At least I can live with my peace and say, you know what, I did it. And I continue to keep doing it.
It's funny. My first one was fighting. When I was doing martial arts, my first one was absolutely fighting, and unfortunately because I was a John Rollo.
Okay.
Look him up. He owns Shogun Fights,
Okay.
which is like the equivalent of UFC and the DMV, and he let me clean the dojo for my admission.
Wow.
And I would do that, the mats and stuff, and geez, man, those mats used to be funky.
I can imagine.
But and when I was doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, it was not popular at all. Like no one knew what it was. Everybody
Wait a
was
minute,
into
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it has nothing to do with Brazil, nothing like that. It's just
I mean, listen, so
Yeah.
it originated.
okay.
So just like karate, and just
cool.
Krav Maga, like they all have their origins.
Okay.
You know what I
Okay.
mean? And Brazil, the jiu-jitsu really began in Brazil. So that's why they connected. You know what I mean? Now most people will say
knew that.
jiu-jitsu. Yeah. Most people will say jiu-jitsu now, because now it's MMA, mixed martial arts, which to be a excellent fighter, you need to have all of the
Multiple disciplines.
different things. See, when I was doing it, it was just jiu-jitsu, and they was like, okay, well, this is just jiu-jitsu, which is mainly rolling, which is, grappling. You had to go somewhere else to learn striking. You had to go to my best friend at the time, unfortunately, God bless his soul, he was a boxer, Laredo Williams, and I would go to his gym, Charm City Boxing, to learn how to box, to learn how to striking, because the best strikers were Muay Thai kickboxers and boxers. And so I would go there. But in the beginning, you couldn't tell me, because again, being light-skinned, curly-haired,
Right.
green, gray eyes in the hood, I had to prove my manliness.
So let me ask you. So growing up, like, because you 39, right? 30.
Yeah.
39.
Well,
Okay.
I'll be 39 November.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So, I'm 40. It's funny you say that, because of your complexion, because where we live at in the neighborhood, we always got based upon our complexion.
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
Just growing up, they would just tell you, like, look, man, you ugly, yo, you're a gremlin. There's no way. And it's like, you get to a point, it's like, you shouldn't accept
Mine was
it.
white boy.
Yeah,
in the hood. That was the insult for me, white boy.
It's crazy how they just give up with all these names, and it's like, for me, growing up hearing that, oh, you're darky or you're this or you're that, and you would being light skinned, we all had our stories about our complexion growing up. But I just settled in it. I just like, well, if God made me this way, I can't run away from it now. This is just who I am, right? Until as you get older and you realize kids are just cruel, at some point.
Right,
They're not loving themselves. Nobody ain't telling them something. So it was a sense of jealousy. Right? Would you agree?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, they made me, again, just like I'm sure you being dark skinned, they made you hate your skin color. Yeah. I hated being light skinned. I hated it. I hated it because to me, they made it as it was weakness. Like, oh, you're light skinned, you're pretty, you got to be a punk. You know what I mean? And I constantly, and my brother was Chad's complexion, and my brother, when I came out, mixed, obviously, my brother was like, hey, you're not gonna be no punk, So he was really tough on me, super tough on me. And again, where kind of like the bad temperament came. And my mom was crazy. So my mom used to fight. If you looked up my mother now, Esther Paulette Beckwith, she probably has the hardest rap sheet of any hard criminal, right? But the combination between my brother and my mother, they were determined that I wasn't going to be fragile per se. And but I hated it, man. And then you start getting older, and then girls are like, curly hair. You know what I think? This ain't so bad.
When you are a nice person, people can take it for granted.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And the fact that, just because you don't act a certain way don't mean that you can't get down. So, us living in these neighborhoods and these climates, you get tested a lot. And that's just what it is. But then at some point they have some self-control. When you agree, Mr. Chad, you're a lot older than us. Yeah. So you understand the
he ain't have to put that a lot older.
I appreciate it.
You're a lot older than us.
Because there was a difference. There was a difference in growing up in the 70s and 80s, and then growing up in the 90s. I taught kids in the 90s, 70s and 80s. It was a different time. So it was
What was it like for you growing up for that time?
Suburban. Grow up. We had our instances where we would mix in more urban areas, but it was mostly suburban. So things were.
It don't matter. It's stuff go down there too.
Oh yeah. Something can go down anywhere.
Right. Exactly.
But I'm saying the like a lot of the challenges that you speak of, I saw it, but wasn't necessarily part of it, and it wasn't. I want to say it wasn't as much of a thing in the 70s and 80s where I grew up, outside of Pittsburgh, as it is.
When you say thing, you mean like the color?
Right. It wasn't so much of a dividing line, back then. The old man used to say, "Hey, man, you either black or you're white. Ain't no middle ground." But 70s, 80s, just a different time.
But the funny thing is like I moved to Texas for a while, and it really was even worse in Texas, and I caught it a lot. But then the thing about it in Texas was I was catching it from the white people. It's sad that we have our own prejudice within our own race.
Right.
But man, when I went to Texas, I'm like, God dang, now I gotta not only fight my own people, I gotta fight the white folks too.
So let me ask you,
ridiculous.
So being down there and being in Texas, going through, what were some of the things that they would say? What were some of the things they would
it was already a prejudice because I was from Baltimore. And in their head, it was like, oh, you think you're tough. I was like,
already?
I'm drinking on a Capri Sun. I'm sipping on a Capri Sun. What? And it was just one of those things. It was like, oh, you think you're tough because he's from Baltimore. And then, sure enough, and again, it's funny. I heard this saying that said, you have no idea how much violence it took to be this peaceful. And I am really one of the nicest people in the world. Do not get to I'm the guy that literally stops to help the old lady across the street, I will, I've literally given my shirt off my back before.
Right.
Like, I'm really that guy. And it's just crazy because my temperament when I was younger was so bad, dude. And it was mainly because people messed with me so much. I got tired of the prelims. Soon as I saw the look, soon as you pretty, well, let's just fight. Like, we ain't got to go into this contest, your name calling. Let's just fight. And that was my mantle. And my brother was super rough.
You ever got tired of that though? Like
that was the problem. I did get tired of it, and that's why. Listen, like, it's funny because like you look at Chaz, like he got his things too, but if you look at my knuckles, like it was like I fought. It was just I fought so much. It was just like my mental was getting messed up, and luckily my godfather, which was the family, part of the family that came and got me from the motel. My godfather really understood, like, you have a problem, and he luckily was like, no, you need to chill out with this, because my mental was constantly like, what are you looking at? Oh, you want to fight? You know what I mean? And I was constantly doing it because I was like, stop picking with me. Stop. I'm not a punk. Like, stop. You
feel like that was like part of traumatizing for you as a kid? Like,
I mean, trauma is a serious word. And I promise you, I've had other things way more traumatic than to say that was traumatizing. But as far as my mental, as far as my temperament was bad until maybe, like I said, maybe 15, 16, when I really, like I said, my godfather kind of helped me, like, and then it's funny because we were just saying this, and my friend, which is actually one of the producers on here, Marlo, was saying, he was saying, you need those older, more mature friends to tell you the right way, you know what I mean? And then from my godfather, I did start getting friends that were also more mature, like, man, you can't fight everybody, man. You gotta chill out. And now my demeanor as far as things is so dour now. Like, I'm like, okay.
So now you feel like in the control. So being an actor, and this is the thing, because you went through, I feel like when people go through a lot, it's for a reason.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So because you're an actor, you have to had some
I'm an emotional bitch. Can we cuss?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, listen. Me now?
Yeah.
Me now? Cuss, I'm an emotional. I am the most emotional punk ass.
No, but I'm just saying though, like when you play all these characters, do you feel like some of that comes out?
So let me tell you. Here's a funny thing. Here's a funny thing, man. And it's wild because Chad is here. And I'm so not used to him being around when I tell the story. But when one of my first big role, actually it was my first role ever, was on a movie called The Guild, and they ended up taking me from a small character to the lead character.
Okay,
and the lead character was very, he was kind of maniacal in a sense. Like, he was a boss. He was like a gangster.
Okay.
He was like, you were saying, like, search from 300, the man king, what was his man god? King god, God king, right?
God king. Okay.
So I started making my personality, because I was like, this was my first role.
Okay.
And I was like, man, this is a big role. Like, I really want to get into it. And I did. And I started getting into it, and I started becoming an asshole. Period.
All day, every day. Like
all day. Like, even because
offset.
I was offset, and I was like starting to really become a jerk, because I was like, I wanted to adapt this role so much that I started like so usually I'm a quick person.
Right. Okay.
But it went from quick, witty, funny to quick asshole jerk.
Wow. And
like, people were saying things to me, and I started saying things because I was like getting into this character so much. And I actually did not realize, like, oh, wait, that's not you. Because then when it took people to be like, what's wrong with you?
Right.
And I was like, because I kept constantly thinking, what will my character say? That's what I kept thinking. What will my character say? What will my character do in this? I got to become this role. I got to become this role. And I did not. And I was that guy that thought it was bull crap. That when the actors say, "Oh, I got so deep in this role, I needed," I used to think it was absolute bull crap. But when I started doing that, and it started engulfing me and really like taking over what I would say, and I was becoming this person off set, I was like, wow, I need to step back for a second because this isn't who I am. You know what I mean? And it's a real thing.
But you played in a movie, was it 2000? I think it was like 2022. Was it Zeke does Zeke, you won an award for that.
Yeah.
You won an award for that. Yeah. But you were the main character.
I was supposed to be like the right hand of God.
Yeah.
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 How was that going through that, knowing that you won the award? Did somebody give you a call, and how did that transition for you?
So I did not know that I won the award until the ceremony.
Wow.
And I was like, wow. And it's huge because it makes you know that you belong there. The first thing is when you get paid for it. My first check for acting, I'm like, someone's giving me money.
Right.
This is it. Mm-hmm.
Can you say how much that was? How much
my first check?
Yeah, how much was your first check? Your first big check.
My first big check.
Your first big check in acting. What was it?
Oh,
because people out in the acting world.
So my first real actually making money was a movie called Jamesy Boy.
Okay.
And I actually got all my SAG vouchers in that movie. And for people that don't know what SAG vouchers are, to become SAG, the more common way is to collect SAG vouchers.
Got it.
So first you're non-union, you're not part of the union. So you have to get 3 vouchers, SAG vouchers to join the union. And they put me in that movie and I had, I got a good look, thank God. And they made me Guillermo's right-hand man. So the Black Eyed Peas, the group?
Yeah.
What is his name?
Lyon?
No, with the long hair. So geez, he would be so mad at me if he knew I forgot his name.
It's all right.
Jeez, man, he'd be mad. So bottom line is, he played the character Guillermo, and it's bothering me. I can't remember his name, but they made me his right hand man in the movie, and I didn't have lines, but they put me next to him, and I became featured.
Okay, which
took my pay from $80 a day to like $400 a day. And then things happened on set, like a slight stunt situation happened that I was kind of a part of, which again caused me to get all of my vouchers in this one movie with me being featured, with me being part of these scenes and stuff like that. And I got those checks. So they weren't, to me, they were big.
No,
because
I get it.
First off, I wasn't getting paid.
Right.
Let's start there. And then me getting paid $80 a day was like, oh, I'm getting paid.
Yeah.
But then it went from 80 to 400.
Right.
And then I was like, oh my gosh. So, and then we filmed for like, they had me in for like roughly a little over 2 weeks. So those checks, I'm getting those $1,000 checks.
Yeah.
You was good. I was on top of the world,
but
right?
See, a lot of people don't know, like they think even main characters sometimes don't get paid that much. I believe Terrance Howard explained Hustle and Flow. He only got paid $12,000.
Yeah.
For that role. Yeah. So being in these, people be thinking that they get a lot, but it's like, nah.
Can I tell you a weird story? It's funny that you bring up Terrance Howard.
Bring it up.
Terrance Howard was in the guild with us out of my very first movie. And let me tell you how God works. I'm in that movie. So they brought him in. Unfortunately, me and one of the producers kind of didn't see eye to eye on a role, and she kind of didn't let me explain. But what happened was they split my role between myself and Terrance Howard, and they brought him in as the name. And what happened was, I told myself, I said, you know, I am non-union now. You know, pretty much nobody now. I said, but I'm gonna do another movie with this guy, and the next time I see you, I'm gonna be union. I'm gonna be a principal character. Do you know my very first gig as a union principal actor was with Terrance Howard again?
Wow. How was that working with Terrance Howard on set?
Yeah, Terrance is an interesting guy.
Yeah.
Let me listen, man. You know, it's all about how you look at it, man.
He's a funny dude.
He's an interesting guy. But I played Lenny Kravitz's bodyguard.
Okay.
They did a remember the show Empire and Star? They did a crossover promotion, and I played Lenny Kravitz's bodyguard.
What episode was that?
It was a promotion.
It was a promotion.
It was a promotion gig, but it was my first union job, and I played his bodyguard. I was a principal character for the promotion. I mean, they, you know, it was a whole acting bit, but yeah, I was just like, wow, that's it. I thought it was amazing. Yeah.
Put your mind to it.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about it, the Realtor, right? I'm sure Chad, I'm mistaken, you wrote it, correct?
Yeah.
You wrote it. What was the story based upon? What made you come up with the idea for this and everything when it came to writing the Realtor?
You know, to be honest, I think Marlo and I, the producer, were speaking on it, just talking about our experiences as real estate agents.
Okay.
And our good friend Maurice Williams, who has since passed away, was also an agent with our agency. And I started to come up with all these stories that happened to me. Some of the stories are in the film as agents. And we just thought about this crazy comedy. I think Marlo and Maurice and I came up with the idea. Maurice and I really started working together at the office about writing. And what if he wrestled? And what if a wrestler was doing it? And then we just started writing it up, and it became a film. And as a matter of fact, the film is actually dedicated to Maurice, our buddy who passed. And one of the main characters, played by Sean Nelson, his name is Maurice in the film, and he is the best friend to the lead. So it just came about, you know, I wanted to do a second film. Our first film, What Death Leaves Behind, we had some success with it. We had 25 city tour.
Wow.
Ended up at Sundance, got on Amazon. And I said, let's just do another one, but a comedy. And I really wanted to just get something out the box and put those experiences together in between what Marlo came up with and what I was thinking, what Maurice had. We came up with The Realtor.
No, it was good. I actually had a chance to see the movie.
Thank you.
Yeah, I saw the movie. It was really good. You did a phenomenal job.
I appreciate it.
You had Tommy Davis in there and a couple people
Tommy's
in there,
great.
just hilarious.
awesome.
And everybody in there that played their part. You know, people don't really understand how much it takes just to do a movie.
No.
It's a lot.
If there was someone out who wanted to get into the business, one of the things that I talked to Marlo about and our director Scott about is that getting into the business is not easy. It's easier now because there's so much more access to media. You have media access just by your cell phone.
Your cell phone, yeah.
But to really do this, it's hard. And that's why I think if you Google the statistics, it's something absurd that 0.00001% of the world population has ever made a film.
Wow.
So, let alone two. So to get to that point, I think one thing that people have to be okay with is knowing that, okay, this is going to be hard. It's going to be long hours. It's going to be a lot of stress. If you're okay with those three things, by all means, proceed. Okay. You're going to need a good idea. You're going to need a lot of perseverance. You're going to need to get the script done. You're going to need some money. You're going to need all that. But
emphasis on the money.
Emphasis on the money.
Yeah.
But if you don't have that internal intestinal fortitude to see this thing through to completion, the advice would be don't start. Because a movie is, the pre-production is a whole work of art in and of itself.
Yeah, so what is pre-production? Just the whole acting, like what is that like before you actually get on?
Right, so let me get, so my appreciation of pre-production grew tremendously through my association with our director, Scott Hamilton, who is a pre-production master. But when you are, I'm more ready, aim, fire. I mean, ready, fire, aim, I should say. But the pre-production is, do you have your script fully buttoned up? Do you have all your locations fully buttoned up? And that, I would say the locations is the most difficult, one of the most difficult challenges you'll have is to make sure you locked up this wrestling ring from these dates, from these hours. Because when you bring a whole crew and everybody's getting paid that day, whether they film something or not, because you brought them there, and they say, hey, there was a mistake. I thought I had you guys down for next week.
Right.
Like,
you still got to pay them.
Because you've got 25 people there at 6 a.m. ready to work. So your location scouting, your craft services, who's taking care to make sure these people eat? There are a multitude of challenges that come with making a film.
It's a ton. Listen, he's being even gracious. It is a ton. It is a lot of work, man. And
I mean, the pre-production,
then getting to production,
and then post-production, where you just dump all this footage.
Oh, wow.
With one guy, in our case, it's Scott, who also served as the director and as the editor and a producer. Whereas in this case, with the Realtor, Marlo served as producer, where, he and Scott are going to put in hours and hours and hours of watching scenes, and you're putting this together like a giant jigsaw puzzle.
And that's
which is the
most
best take
tedious
to go here.
part.
What is going to go here? So when the actors are done, and the writers are done, and the EP is done, the post-production and the editing, just hours and hours of work. But it's got to be a labor of love. This can't be a business that you're in if you don't like it. If you don't like the whole process, because in the end, when you have that finished product, this is all you got. You've gambled on it. You bet your time and, in many instances, money on this product, and you watching this product and you liking it, and this gentleman watching it and him liking this product and enjoying it and giving you the opportunity to make more. So there's a lot on your shoulders. But when you're done, there are zero guarantees that anybody wanted to see it, had an interest in it like you did, or that they would watch it. So it's definitely a labor of love, a labor of faith. And you've got to have a strong belief in what you're doing and why you're doing it.
Y'all had some guy had Sergeant Slaughter in there.
Sergeant Slaughter?
That was crazy. How did y'all cast for Sergeant? I said, how did they get Sergeant Slaughter?
We got, in a lot of ways, and I'm gonna give Lyon his flowers right now. Lyon helped us cast this movie. Without Lyon, we wouldn't have had Jess Hilarious, who came in and did a fantastic job. Shout out to Jess and all she's doing at the Breakfast Club. And the wrestlers, another contact through Lyon. Actually, he had the number to Diamond Dallas Page.
Okay.
And I called Diamond Dallas Page, just called him up. And he had given me the contact to their manager so that because actually the role was offered to DDP.
I went and talked to DDP in person.
He had a conflict with the schedule.
Yeah.
But he's like, look, call him this manager. He has access to a lot of other wrestlers. And we called and negotiated with them, and we ended up with Sarge. We ended up with Jake the Snake for
RVD,
his little
Rob Van Dam
cameo, and RVD, who was great, fantastic. Like, the wrestlers are the easiest to work with, and they are so generous with their time and physically. I mean, RVD gets off the plane and he's like, okay, what do you want me to do? You want me to climb up here, jump up, do the suplex? Like, whoa, easy. Relax.
Oh yeah, he's a super good person, and
he's
period.
Fantastic.
Like, he's an awesome guy. And I do want to slide in real quick. Like, if you like the movie, that's because of Scott and Marlo, because that's where the movie's made, is at editing. It's no question about it. You know what I mean? I did my part as far as acting, but at the end of the day, they're the people that made me look good through the editing process. And that's such a, I do not want to skip past that, because it's so tedious, man, to sit there again for hours and hours and make the movie. Scott, it's a job that I would not want whatsoever, to sit there and them two to sit there and watch all that footage and put it together. And hats off to them. So I gotta put that. I gotta give them their flowers on that.
I remember Marlo told me about this film that he was working on about 2 years ago. Marlo's here. He's here. But it was like 2 years ago, right, Marlo? It was like 2 years ago, right? And we sitting somewhere at our friend's house. He was telling me about it. And people tell you stuff all the time.
Yeah.
Like, okay, he's working on a movie. you know. And what was ironically crazy, you know, one thing about Marlo, he's a man of what he says, he actually do follow suit with action. I will say that about him. And then he told me, yeah, man, the movie's out, check it out. And I'm like, what are you and then it was on Amazon Prime, and I had a chance to look at it. And, you know, I look at movies for all aspects, the acting, but also what it takes to do all of that. You was doing wrestling moves, and I'm looking at him like, well, how many takes did he get to do that, bouncing back and forth and camera shots and stuff like that, getting extras to be in there? You know, that's stuff that people don't understand what it takes to be in there. I'm a real critical person when it comes to stuff. People are like, you're so hard on movies. It's like, you don't understand. You can look at when something is being lazy, and when you can look at when somebody's putting the effort in.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it takes a lot. So I applaud you guys for that movie, because I know it took a lot to do.
I literally had the bumps and bruises.
So how many takes did you have to do on wrestling? Was it more?
Well, before we even get there, let's talk about the fact that I had to go to wrestling school, and I had to learn how to wrestle. Because listen, wrestling and fighting is two entirely different worlds.
What's the name of the school? You remember? It's in your city.
EWA, right?
EWA, right there in Baltimore. We got to give them a shout out.
Yeah, definitely.
The guys came up, and he had class like once or twice a week.
Hero, shout out to Hero Napper,
teaching you how to take throws, how to go up the top, how to fall and not hurt yourself.
Wow,
it was extremely ambitious. And we were able to pull it off, so I was excited about that.
How long was you in the? Was it for? How long was it for?
What I did for like 2 months.
Yeah, I was gonna say 3 months, 2, 3.
Yeah, maybe it was like 3 months. Yeah.
Well, y'all
and also, let me give a shout out to Marlo on that too, because Marlo actually came down from Pennsylvania 3 times a week to train me in the gym to help me get in shape. For the role. So I shout out to him for that. Let me tell you, Smash Entertainment, it's funny because Smash Entertainment is not just a company. It literally, people say this all the time, but it literally is a family. It is a tight-knit family. Like, and this is a great time to give Chad his flowers. This man has been the wind beneath my wings since I first started.
That's good.
When I first started, he was like, just like his character in the Realtor, that light skinned guy, that yellow boy out there, I tell you, that boy, and he was like that in real life.
I do have to say this. That wasn't me talking. That was that character who was based off of one of my mentors. Everything I said was something he would say. Wow. So,
but
I've heard him say that many times.
But you said in real life, when we first started, again, The Guild was my first movie ever, you know, and I remember my audition. I auditioned for The Guild, and I finished my audition, and it was flooded with people there. It was tons of people there, and
500 people in 100-degree temperature packed into one room like a can of sardines. Yes.
And
that was that day.
I did my audition. And it's like, okay, you know, because I didn't know what to expect. And I'll come walking out, and they came and chased me. Hey, come here, you know. And one of those big reasons was Chad. And from that point on, like, he kind of like stuck with me, and you know, and again, luckily, because then we're here, you know. He saw something in me then, and beyond just even Smash Entertainment, just me and my career, period. You know, like I've gotten callbacks for movies like Bad Boys, and I was like, man, they want me to be in Atlanta tomorrow. And he's like, let's do it, you know, because he believed in me that much, you know. So then when the Realtor came around, you know what I mean, absolutely. What do you need me to do?
Right.
You see what I'm saying? It wasn't even a thing of just acting. What do you need me to do? You know what I mean? Because I cannot pay him back for how much he's done for me. So yeah.
You know what's fun? I feel like when you have a craft, when you need somebody to believe in you, or you need a mentor to go along the way.
Absolutely.
Because sometimes you can have a relay, you have a setback. You know, you could be like, you know, I don't know. But then you got somebody that needs to whisper in your ear and tell you like, no, come on, let's go. This doesn't stop. It can't stop. There's no reason to stop. You know, it's like, why are you stopping? Like, you got to ask yourself, you got to really tell yourself that, like,
Chad is the combination of that wrestling coach and that military guy. It's like, what? You better get up, get your ass in gear. There. What's wrong with you? Yeah, you know, he's that combination. So yeah, that's one of the best voices in your ear to motivate you. So,
no, I would say, but I would say with going upon what you just said, that there's always going to be reasons to stop.
Yes.
There will be 1,000, but what you require is one good reason why you need to keep going. And if you got that one good reason, hold on to that and push all of the rest to the side. And I've seen it, not just with Lyon, but I've seen it with my son, where you can encourage and push somebody and be there for them so that they can get that dream. And too many of us have not been told yes enough.
Right.
And as soon as we get that no, we're like, yeah, let me just put my head down and go back to what I was doing. It was a stupid idea. But we've got to start to believe and dream and encourage others to believe and dream and do these things that are considered exceptional. But the people who have done it are the same as you and me.
Right.
The people who've already done it and did these incredible things were human beings with red blood, just like we are. And if they can do it, you can do it. You got to believe in yourself, and you've just got to keep going. There is no stopping. No matter what somebody else says, you don't even hear it. John Mudd, the old man who I based my character off in The Realtor, he used to say he was making 100,000+ in sales in the 60s. He said, back when black people had menial jobs, he would say, and I'd say, John, how you do it? He'd just say, you keep going, you just sell, you keep pushing. He said, if somebody would say something negative to me in the 60s, we just have to fight. Right then, speaking of what you said, he said, "Hey, you can't do it. Okay, let's just fight. I don't want to fight. Then don't say nothing to him." He said, "I'd have to fight right then." He was so relentlessly positive, and so I got that from him. And I hope to give that to others.
And it's just to piggyback on that. Yeah, if it was easy, everyone would do it.
Everyone would do it.
Who doesn't want to be a movie star? You know, who doesn't want to own a Smash Entertainment, a production company? Who doesn't want to be a producer or executive producer? But the thing about it is you see all the highs, but you don't see the lows. You know what I mean? And if it was easy, everyone would do it. It's just like bodybuilders, you know, people physically fit, whatever like that. If it was easy, everyone would be walking around looking like Arnold Schwarzenegger or a model, you know? And you got it. One thing Chad always says, you got to put the work in. You got to put the work in.
Got to put the work in. And your son, by the way, he won an Emmy.
Well, his episode's nominated.
It was nominated.
So we'll see.
We'll see if he won. But he was nominated. Yeah, I saw that. But I said, congrats to your son.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, I saw that. You know, that's an amazing thing. And you know, I always say you always got to speak life into your kids. You know, and product example of that, you know, from you. So, you know, kudos to you on that.
Thank you. Thank you, man.
Yeah,
I'm really proud of him. And
yeah.
Let's give him a shot. I know my son's like extremely shy and private, so I try not to talk about him too much, but he knows I love him, and I'm so proud of him.
Yeah. We'll give him a shot. He used to notice how he got low when he's like, because he's extremely private.
He is private, man.
Give him a shout out though, man, because look, here's the thing. You gotta give your flowers for being a dad to get him there, and he has to get his flowers for putting in the work himself.
That'll be a whole other podcast. How he actually made it to Abbott Elementary, but that's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah.
We're gonna get there.
We definitely got to come back. But we're gonna wrap it up. But is anything you guys want to say off before we get out of here? As far as anything, but I know The Realtor's out.
Realtor's out.
It's on Amazon Prime.
Catch it on Amazon.
Make sure y'all check it out. It's really a phenomenal movie with great actors in there as well. Tommy Davis is
comedy
in there as
legends.
well.
Tommy Davidson, Jess Hilarious. Great performances by Sean Nelson, Marquand Smith from Godfather of Harlem. Shout out to Marquand. All the wrestlers from WWE, Sergeant Slaughter, RVD, the legend, Jake the Snake, all WWE Hall of Famers. We had a great run. So, you know, last thing I would just say is that if you really want to do this, you know, everything that's hard isn't worth it, but for sure, everything that's worth it is going to be hard. You've got to be okay with it. And then if you really want to do it, get started. And there's a million ways to make it happen, but people are looking for your individual story, or they're looking for your interview, or whatever you have that's special in you, bring it out, because nobody's got it but you. And then by the time you blink, you're going to be 50, 60 years old. And heading towards the end, don't look back with regrets. Get it in right now while you can.
I appreciate that. I needed that. For real. I be needing that sometimes myself.
We all do.
Yo,
yeah.
Thanks. I appreciate that shit. I really do. Yeah.
Listen.
Yeah.
I guess the main thing my message has always been is, again, we kind of know we touched on my story a little bit.
Yeah.
Coming from the projects, drug addicted mom, prostitute, so on and so forth. But I always say, everyone has a story, but it's up to you to write the ending. Push, like Chad said, like if I can do it, you can do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? My cards sucked, but I kept hit me.
Yeah.
Hit me, and every time life hit me, I took it and went on another round and made a win out of it. You know what I mean?
That's
and
good.
Just so that I can tell the next person that's going through the same thing, keep getting up. Keep getting up. Take those hits. Let those hits be lessons for the next person, because you're going to be in that situation where you can lead the next person to greatness, or to at least where you are, So everyone has a story, but it's up to you to write the ending.
Okay. I like that. That's good, because as long as I've been doing this, and people have seen my journey, and I remember somebody said to me one time, it was like, yo, I haven't seen your podcast. Did you stop? And I was like, no, I have audio. Sometimes I can't do the video, but I said there's audio stuff out there as well. Just always stay consistent. I did it up. Doing stuff when you're sad, when you're, when you're going through like this real dark time and you still want to be a service to people, that's when you really want it. When things are just at rock bottom, and you still have to have like this thing for you, like, what? I know I'm not in the best place where I want to be, but I just have to just keep going. And I know that burning desire that's in you when you just want it, wherever the outtake, whether you're going to be at the top, wherever you're going to be at. I think for me, one of the things I've always said, if I reach and get there, wherever God has a place for me at, whereas I can do what I love without having somebody else telling me anything, and I can live a peaceful life doing it, I'm good with that. And that's what I'm good for. Right? I'm reaching the stars. I'm gonna go there, but it's like wherever you place me at, just let me do what I want to do and have fun and enjoy it. And that's where everybody should thrive on. Everybody wants what everybody has when they see it on TV. No, you reach for where you want to do what you love and be good, whereas though you don't have to go and clock in and punch in at a clock all the time. And that's what it's all about. So I'll leave it off with that, guys. Realtor.
You know what?
What's up?
I have to say this because you just reminded
What's
this.
that?
I came up with this weird theory a long time ago.
What?
I call it the bubble mentality. So you know how you have the crabs in the barrel, right?
Yeah.
It's the crab mentality, right? Well, I came up with the bubble mentality, right? Because if you take a bubble and you put it in the bottom of the water or the ocean, what is it going to do? It's going to rise, right? But when it comes across another bubble, it's going to either do one or two things. It's either going to push that bubble up, or they're going to link together and rise together.
Exactly.
And that's why I'm like, have a bubble mentality. You know what I mean?
I like
Get with
that.
people like-minded. You know what I mean? Either push them up or link together and rise together.
Yeah.
So.
I like that. I like that. This was a good one. This was a good podcast.
Take bubble mentality with us.
I appreciate that. Episode 29 is a wrap. I appreciate you guys.
Thank
We
you
are
for having
out.
us.
Yeah.